latest White House press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, was asked about earlier comments she made about how the administration will handle this crisis. And she turned the question back on to the room. Take a look at the clip.
This president will always put America first. He will always protect American citizens. We will not see diseases like the coronavirus come here.
Would you like to take that back?
Well, first, let me note, I was asked a question on Fox Business about the president's travel restriction. I guess I would turn the question back on the media and ask similar questions. Does Vox want to take back that they proclaim that the coronavirus would not be a deadly pandemic? In the Washington Post, would they like to take back that the government should not respond aggressively to the coronavirus? I'll leave you with those questions, and maybe you'll have some answers in a few days.
Yep. Kayleigh, respectfully,
thank you very much.
You were prepared for that.
The questions after you, Secretary McEnany.
Well, apparently she's new on the job, Sonny. How did she do here?
Well, you know, I think it's a step in the right direction that we're actually having these press conferences with the press secretary. So at least she's doing them. She's being less hostile than Sarah Sanders and less comical, I guess, than Sean Spicer. But she said during her first press conference, Whoopi, that she would never lie. She's already broken that promise. She broke that promise during the first, her first press briefing. But I think what was most striking to me is that she said that it was nonsensical to think everyone should get a coronavirus test. That was shocking to me because CNN has just confirmed, I'm not sure if ABC has, but CNN has just confirmed that a valet of Trump's just tested positive for the coronavirus. And so it's obviously important enough for everyone in the White House and surrounding the president to be tested for the coronavirus, but it's not important to the press secretary and to the administration for Americans to be tested for the coronavirus. And so that tells me that she is just spinning lies to the American people rather than being honest with the American people. And she never answered that question, by the way, that was posed to her. No. She never answered the question.
Right.
So she is just lying to the American people like everyone else.
Right, and she's also said that the White House is leaving it up to states to figure out the tests. And Megan, does this feel to you like it's a little bit of a mixed message here?
Yeah, there's been mixed messaging coming out of not just the White House, but I think medical experts since the beginning of this. I can remember being on our show and being told that this was just like the flu. It was safe to travel and to give my medical masks away. Now I'm being told I can't go outside without one. Obviously, we know it's far more contagious than the flu. And I think in regards to Kayleigh McEnany, she was hired for this job because she's very good at spinning propaganda. And she was good at spinning propaganda before she got hired for this job, which I guess you could make the argument that that's the role of any press secretary, but I think it's probably a little more egregious with this particular president. Some of the questions I would like to be answered, and whenever they do another press conference, is there has been 1,000% increase in government suicide hotline calls. Think about that, 1,000% increase. We have the worst unemployment numbers that just came out today. In the last 2 months, they are higher and far worse than before the Great Depression. The worst retail sales on record, worst decline in the gross domestic product in a decade. 1 in 5 American workers have filed for unemployment. If we don't start getting a plan to get testing, to somehow pull ourselves out of this and get America back to work, this is going to be far more egregious than any crisis any of us have seen in all of our lifetimes. It is going to make things that look like happened in a science fiction movie a fantasy. We are not going to have something to come back from unless the White House gets on top of this. And I echo what Sonny is saying. If the tests aren't important, why is all of the White House and allegedly most of the press corps getting these testings before they're in front of the president? Because I would like to go back to work, as I know the rest of you would, and I would be comfortable doing that if we all had the capacity to get tested.
Right. She also said this, had this to say when she was asked about the importance of getting Americans tested. Clip.
Let's dismiss a myth about tests right now. If we tested every single American in this country at this moment, we'd have to retest them an hour later and then an hour later after that, because at any moment you could theoretically contract this virus. So the notion that everyone needs to be tested is just simply nonsensical. The people who need to be tested are vulnerable populations.
Joy?
Yes. Okay, first of all, let's just start with the original thing, which was that she never really answered the question, which was, would you like to take it back that no coronavirus was going to be coming to the United States under Trump? She never answered the question. She just walked off sort of embarrassed, I think. So let's start there. Also, the thing about testing, I'm having so much trouble understanding where they're coming from. Is she willing to send her kids to camp, for example, without everyone being tested at the camp, including the counselors, the children? Is she willing to send her children to school before they test everybody? She keeps saying you have to be tested every hour. Well, excuse me, Ms. McEnany, you are wearing professionally applied makeup. So, darling, were you willing to have someone apply it without their being tested? That's another question I have for Ms. McEnany. One more little point is that a country like Iceland has been testing 7 times at the rate that the United States has. That's a disgrace. That's just a disgrace for this country. It's a disgrace.